Hey guys, so this video is going to be sort of an extension of our class today, which was regression part 2. And what we're going to do is just kind of quickly show you how to pull data off of Qualtrics, throw it into Excel, and get some regression output. This will be something that I'll ask you to also try and bring with you to our next class, which is our lab day, where we're sort of coming up with our potential project that we might do for the final project. All right, so for today, what we did in class is we tried to think about an outcome that we care about, and the outcome that we cared about is the extent to which students love their university. So US, or is it Princeton Review, puts out a ranking of students that love their university, and Clemson always scores well on that. So imagine we were Clemson management and we want to continue that trend. What would we do where should we put our resources to make sure that students are continuing to love their university? So we had some ideas in class and sort of created a survey on Qualtrics. I sort of went off the rails when I got back to my office and added a few more items, as you might note. But we'll take a look and see if we can get some insights. Okay, so first off, when I went back to my office, I Googled Princeton Review, students who love their university. And it turns out that this is the item right here. I'm satisfied with my school. That's the item that the Princeton Review uses when determining what students love their university. So this is one of those things you always have to watch out for. Satisfaction is not the same thing as love, right? So if you went up to your girlfriend and said, hey girl, I'm totally satisfied with our relationship, that would probably not get the best reaction, right? Something more like, I love you, blah, blah. That would be more indicative of what we think of, right? So to start off with, I have sort of a bone to pick with the Princeton Review that they're calling something love and they're measuring it with satisfaction scale. So I also went ahead and threw in a measure of what I think would be better at capturing love. So I love Clemson University, exclamation, exclamation, on a 9-point scale. So most people who are here like Clemson University a lot. By definition, we're extremely high on this variable. So I'm going to skew towards more items because I'm going to want to avoid, I'm dealing with a ceiling effect here where all the results are going to stack up near the top. So when that happens, I want to pull the scale apart into more items. Also, maybe I make the stem a little more extreme and try to get a little distribution here so that I can have something to work on. So I think it's quite possible that the drivers of satisfaction with the school and the drivers of love for a school might be quite different. So anyway, we'll find out. All right, so on the next scale, this is some of the inconveniences we came up with in class. Finding a parking spot is difficult. We came up with a 4-item, 7-point Likert scale to measure that. The extent to which classes are difficult to sign up for, a 4-item, 7-point measure of that. A 2-item measure of having trouble finding space to study. And then this 1-item measure of campus feels crowded to me. I think probably this is might be a good topic for somebody's final project. Campus does seem to feel crowded this year, and I'm not sure why it is. Maybe it's because I had to eat my salad with a spoon in the dining hall today because I couldn't get into Cane's or Which and had to eat in the dining hall and there were no forks, so I had to eat with a spoon. Maybe that's contributing to feeling crowded. Anyway, it's feeling crowded. Overall evaluation of food quality, how long I have to wait in line, these kind of things, something about football. This is a graphic scale, which can be good. We don't see them too frequently, but I thought I would put it in there. The pain that I experience when Clemson loses. Job stuff. and then just some various stuff. So we got a lot of stuff in here, far more actually than I would really ask you to do in a project, which would be more constrained. But I was just kind of curious to see what the results would be. All right, so a couple other things. You may notice that I double-clicked on all of these and renamed them. So they default to something like Q29, but that's not going to mean anything to me when I download it. So when I download it, I want it to be like something like steady space, and I'll have some idea of what that's referring to in the data. Looks like I did a pretty good job of getting the rest of them. Let's call that negative affect. Or probably stress. It's better. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and grab the data and see what we have. I'm going to go to Data and Analysis. I would like to go to Export and Import the data. Export the data. I'm going to use the legacy exporter here because that's really the best for getting the raw data out that you analyze in another format. Comma separated values will work. So it'll give you a zip file. Probably most of you have some sort of application for opening zip files. It's not wanting to open, so while it's not wanting to open, I'll go ahead and open Excel and show you what you need to analyze the data. So most of you probably already have this, but when you're in Excel, you need this data analysis tab. So in Windows, you go to File, Options, Add-ins, and Excel add-ins, manage Excel add-ins, and then you make sure your analysis tool pack is selected. In Macs, right around here somewhere, there's a drop down that says add-ins, and you click it and you should be able to add it in that way. So you need to have that in order to get started. Let's just re-download this again. Maybe I double clicked it too fast. All right. There we go. All right. So there we go. So here's what our data is going to look like. So this is the raw data from the survey. Okay. So first thing that's you could probably do is delete all the columns that you don't need. So this kind of stuff in the beginning, IP address, you don't really need that, status, so you can just delete all that. You may keep start date and end date. I sometimes, once you put that stuff up there, then the next thing you do is you delete the second row of data. So really this isn't data, this is just tells you what the question was about. But you already know that because you have these descriptive titles up here. And you really want to get rid of this second row, because if you have this second row and it's text, Excel will look at that and think everything below it is text. So it won't run any analyses because it will think that your columns are full of text and that it can't run stats on text. So go ahead and delete that. And now we have sort of a reasonably clean looking data set. We still may have to go through and clean some of the open-ended stuff. So here's a good example. So how often do you have to wait in line? We said, for example, 5 minutes. Most people put in good numbers, but some people put in things like added the minutes, so we would change that to 5. 20, so this one you see sometimes Excel, what's happening here is Excel is translating 10-20, 10 to 20 minutes into a date, which is October 20th. So in there I would just put 15. 15 plus, I guess you would just put 15 there. 20 minutes, 20. Actually, all right, so this is probably 8 to 10. So first I'm going to pull the formatting from that one over and put in 9. So this is an example of how when you do those open-ended items, you can have a little bit of cleaning to do. But it's not really that much cleaning. As you can see, we went through, that was on the messy side, and it took us just a few seconds. Willingness to pay for football tickets. This one, 0, would prefer to pick most important games. I'm not sure what to do with that. Maybe 0 or maybe blank. I'm going to go with 0. They did put 0 in. Here's a $sign. I don't think that should matter because it's showing up as 100. Student ought to be free if Clemson puts its students first. So this is the kind of thing that people hate in surveys. Like you were just asking for a dollar amount. I can't really do anything with this, so I'm going to delete it, which means any analysis involving that data will be not included. Here's someone who spelled it out. Anyway, you get the idea, but there we go. Okay. So again, I'm a big fan of open-ended items. Some people hate them because they hate doing that cleaning process, which we just did. But you know, my position is it just takes a couple minutes and you get a lot detailed data. All right. We had a lot of open-ended items here. All right, well, that's looking pretty good. I think that's all the open-ended cleaning we have to do. Oh no, March is once or twice a month. Would be 1.5. 3 times a month. 2 times per week. I think we want to ask for month, so that would be 8. All right, so this is some of the messier data I've seen, but you know, we did ask per month, so maybe that was tough. All right, we can get rid of this stuff. Okay. So we have a lot of data to choose from here. Here are our 2 dependent variables, so satisfaction and love. So we could just go ahead. Sometimes I like to just highlight these with, you know, maybe we'll just highlight them. Now let's do orange for satisfaction and love. All right, and so what are some things that cause satisfaction and or love? So let's go with parking first, because that's the one that came up first. So if we want, first thing we want you to point out is we had a 4-item measure of parking. So we need to figure out how to combine these into one measure. What is going on? 3, 6, 2, 5. All right, so insert. So what we would do is let's just create a new variable called park. And we'll go ahead and take the average of these. So take the average of these, and now the average is 4. All right, when I double click on that, it will fill it in. And now this is going to be something I want to use potentially, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll just color code that too to make sure we don't lose it. Okay. Alright, now maybe we want to also combine this 4-item register. Again, just take the average of these items. You know what? I'm going back to parking and I'm looking here, like, there's a lot of times where this, whatever parking 3 is not following along with the others. So 7716, 6646. So to be honest, I'm just going to delete parking 3 because it looks like it's not doing a good job. That looks cleaner. Whatever parking 3 was, if you go back and look, now these are much more consistent. So whatever parking 3 was not really following along with the others. And so all right. Anyway, register. Food quality, we can do the same thing. This is going to be super consistent because this is a standard attitudes measure, and attitude measures are almost always perfectly correlated, which you see here, a lot of whole numbers and so forth. All right. All right, so let's just see, there's a whole lot in here. I don't want to go through all of it, but I'll just show you how we would do it. Okay, so we have a few variables to work with. We have some dependent variables. We've combined a few variables, and maybe we'll pick out a few other things. All right, so let's start with satisfaction. Let's grab satisfaction. Let's grab parking and register because we took the time to combine them. We'll go ahead and highlight food quality. Let's do something about willingness to pay for football tickets, how big of a fan you are, whether you get a job. Let's just see, starting salary. Let's do starting salary. And then let's pick a joy, a stress, and year in school. All right. So those, let's just say we wanted to look at those variables to see which one of those was most important. So we copy those, and what I like to do is go to a new sheet and just paste them all in together. All right. So now another thing to do is if you have data where there's blanks, you want to go ahead and just delete those because that will screw things up. Okay, so sort of, I can see here I have pretty decent number where there are blanks. One way you can get around this is to require people to fill something out in Excel. Another way, there's other ways, but more sophisticated stats packages deal with missing data pretty well, but Excel, it kind of throws it for a loop, so we want to just make sure and delete it by hand. All right, I think that looks like I have some subset of data where I have some outcome I care about, satisfaction. I have some potential variables that might predict that, and I want to see which, if any of those are important. All right, so what I go up to here is data, analysis, and let's see, I want to go with regression. And I want to tell it my Y range, so I'll just go ahead and highlight that. And then it wants to know what my X range is, which are my causal variables, or my independent variables. And then I did highlight the labels, so I click that, and then I'll take it in a new worksheet. Okay. Which I think is the default. And that's really all I need. Hopefully I didn't miss any blanks, which will cause it to explode. Ah, hooray. Okay. So, how do we do? Well, here's how, if we'll remember how we go through our output, we can start at the beginning with our regression statistics and say, oh, we have an R-square of 48%, which means we've explained 48% of the variation in student satisfaction with the variables that we have. We have an adjusted R-square of 0.3334, so we know that we have some bad, without even looking below, we have some variables that don't make a difference in the data. So let's go through and figure out which ones those are. We could look at F, ANOVA, and see that yes, we predict 48% of the variance, so we know that the regression is doing its job. So we could just hide this, we don't really need it. All right, so let's start by looking at our p-values to see which variables we need to consider. So let's see. Do we need to we'll just forget about it. Park, not so much. Register, not so much. So let's just go ahead and black them out. Or maybe not black them out, but dark gray them out. Because we don't really need to worry about them because the relationship we observed wasn't by chance alone. Here we have a significant p-value. Here we have a less than point. Here we have above 0.1. So this is good. So let's just keeping in the spirit of things. Let's go ahead and put those as green. Fan, how big of a fan of football you are. Job, nothing else is coming up as significant. So so what drives satisfaction with Clemson? Food quality and willingness to pay for football tickets are the two that are significant predictors of happiness with Clemson. Which is kind of interesting. So now which one is most important? So we could then go over to the coefficients and we would see that, well, it looks like food quality has the bigger coefficient, so it's the most important. However, in this case, we have to remember that food quality is measured on a, what was it, like a 7-point scale, and football willingness to pay was measured on a 300-point scale. So this means this small beta coefficient means for each 1 unit increase, which is $1 in season ticket prices or willingness to pay for season tickets, I get more satisfaction, or is a predictor of satisfaction with Clemson. So it's not just straight up as saying which is the biggest beta coefficient. What we could do is calculate the standard beta coefficient. We could kind of, what happens if we multiply that times? If we just think about it as being on a 300, if we think about that as being on a 300-point scale, what does it look like? Equals this times 300.97. So if we just kind of do that, it would be better to calculate the standardized coefficient, but in lieu of doing that, you could say, okay, well, if we sort of, on a 300-point scale, we're dealing with a pretty substantial change. So this is the results of this quick analysis. So what we found is of the variables we randomly picked, just there, these were the ones that drove satisfaction with Clemson. So, our advice to Clemson based on this is we should invest in the football team, and we should invest in making people willing to pay for the football, and food quality, and that will impact student satisfaction the most. It's also worth thinking about that the survey happened right around lunchtime, so that this could be impacted by that. So, all right, so that's 25 minutes of me doing a regression, and basically that's all there is to it. So we have some ideas about things that might be important in determining some outcome. We try to put them on a survey in either semantic differential, Likert scale, hybrid, or open-ended. We do some stuff with the data, so we go back and we combine any that are multi-item scales, we combine into a single column. We grab them. Let's just for kicks, see what happens if we willingness to pay for football, food quality. Let's grab a fan one. Let's grab, I don't know. What else? We came close to measuring. Let's do the extras. Various 1, various 2, various 3, extras 1, 2, 3. Joy. Stress. Age isn't really going to make any difference because everyone's pretty much the same age. How many times you go out? Let's try that one. Let's throw a new sheet together. Alright. Again, I have to do this annoying step where I get rid of any blanks. I think I got rid of all the blanks and we're not going to explode. So let's try it and see what happens. All right. Data analysis. This time we're going to do regression again. This time we're going to do the outcome is love, which is a little bit different than satisfaction. So, and for our X range, we're going to do and I think we highlighted labels. Let's see. Okay, it didn't explode again. Wow, 2 for 2. Okay, so now we've explained of love, we're explaining 61% of the variation in love. So we're even better R-square. So we're better at predicting love than we are satisfaction, which is obviously this is going to be better than random chance if we're predicting 60%. So let me just get rid of that. Let's see which one of these guys matters the most. So we go right to our p-value. Parking, not so much. Registration problems, not so much. I'm looking here at the p-value column. That's our main thing we want to look at. So parking. So intercept, by the way, is just where refers to where it hits the. You use that when you're plotting where it hits the y-axis. So just ignore it for now. Not above 0.05, not above this one. Fanness is above 0.05. Get a job, not important. Various 1 is important. Extras is potentially extras 3, joy, stress, and however many times you go out. Alright, so let's just gray these out. So what predicts it here is, so we have a measure of being a fan. That seems to be a big predictor. Various 1, extras 1, and extras 3. So let's go back just for kicks and see what that was. This is why it helps to have descriptive title names. But let's see what various one. I think Clemson has a beautiful campus. So the extent to which we agree with the extent to which Clemson has a beautiful campus influence our satisfaction. So, or love for Clemson. So that suggests we may want to build some beautiful new business schools or something like that. What else was there? Extras 1 and extras 3. I'm very involved with extracurricular, and I have a significant other. Interesting. So we could, so what we want to encourage on Clemson, if we want people to love their school, is beautiful campus, extracurriculars, and dating, which is, I don't know, we can have some mixers or something. So anyway, when we're talking about love, the feeling of love for Clemson, those are significant predictors. Oh my goodness, I just noticed. Having a significant other decreases the extent to which I love Clemson. So if I have someone else to love, then I love Clemson less. So we want to discourage dating, and instead what we want to encourage is roaming campus and going to football games. Interesting. That's fun. Okay, so people with boyfriends and girlfriends don't love Clemson as much. Rather, people who are roaming campus, doing extracurricular, and going to football games. All right, so we should invest in the extracurriculars, discourage dating, and build beautiful buildings if we want to maximize the love of Clemson. All right, so anyway, kind of interesting. So you can play with this kind of data a lot, and do a much more rigorous analysis of it. But that's a quick and dirty analysis. So for your project, just think of some outcome, not so many predictors, maybe just 3 or 4 predictors, and then run a regression in the same way. I'll be around if you have any questions, and if you have trouble, remember we're going to work on it in groups in class on Thursday. All right, good luck.